6 p.m. And before we get on to the chairman business, if you don't mind, I'd like to take citizens' comments next, since our friend Ernie is here, and I'd like to say a few things.
I have two items. One has to do with Old Home Days and coordination with Fire and Rescue Squad, and another item that's totally different, and I don't know if this gentleman, we look to speak.
No.
Oh, okay, all right.
You may want to go over there, I think.
Okay, absolutely. All right, good evening. My name's Ernie Robert. I live at 8 Maple Ave. And the first few things are questions I have. I'm kind of here representing the Fire and Rescue Squad. Old Home Day, it's coming. And we want to be ready. And the triathlon, as we understand, is going to be part of that, an integral part of it. So we're thinking in terms of coverage. I guess first and foremost, in terms, this might not be the place to do it. We just feel the need to identify, get a map, how the flow is going to be, how people are going to be spread out, and then we can kind of place our people around. That's the first point. Like I said, we don't necessarily have to do that now. Is there some kind of or point person for the triathlon?
It would be me, or it's the Andrea Bolton with the PTO, but I can take that. We have a course map, and we can give you a timeline of the events.
Okay.
And when we expect people to be hitting what points on the course.
Right, and it's where they're going, and kind of like, this is not the first time we've done it, so if you have an idea of the flow,
Yeah.
how spread out people are going to be, is it a wave, or is it kind of a
Yeah.
long trail, that sort of thing. So like I said, maybe we should, offline,
Yeah.
sit down and address those points. There's other things about the breakfast. We are going to be a little bit thin, and we actually could use a little help if someone's so inclined,
Okay.
and we can address that as well.
We did, just so you know, because we were concerned about if there was a rain date for Old Home Day, but the triathlon was still going to go on, rain or shine.
Oh, that is?
That the
Okay.
breakfast would, and we were concerned about overburdening the fireman's breakfast
Right.
with 100 extra mouths plus spectators. So we had reached out to Lazy Lion, who was going to have their food truck on site for 11, and they said that they would come at 9 and do breakfast sandwiches for
As a contingency?
as a
Oh.
we would pay a fixed amount, and they would give out tickets to the triathlon participants. So I'm sorry if Carolyn O'Neill was going to relay that back to the fire squad, but we were
Okay.
hoping to not.
Okay, because I think there was discussion about a special seating for the triathlon people.
Yeah, there
Okay,
was.
so that was sort of a related question. Okay, so yes, I think it would behoove us to sit down and work out these details,
Yeah.
and we can arrange that offline. I can get your contact information.
I think I still have your email, so I'll
Okay,
do it right
excellent.
after. Yep.
Excellent. Lastly, totally separate. This is just as me, citizen. Looking at the forum the other day and saw what a firestorm there was with the contra dance and the fees and whatnot. I don't know if does this ring a bell at all? I guess my question is, one of the solutions was to approach the Parks and Rec as the possible sponsor to pick up that $75 fee, which is the town hall fee. The town is requiring of them now. Has anyone approached you on that, either on this basis or?
Yeah, I've had a couple of inquiries from people that have been familiar with it, or they've participated in one time or another, but nothing from the coordinator himself. So I'm kind of waiting on that because he's been running it, and I haven't been approached at all. If it was a Parks and Rec program, I think we'd still have to treat it the same, though. Which wouldn't cure the solution of them having to pay anything to use the hall. Because if it was a program run through us, we charge all of our instructors something to run programs. So it wouldn't that wouldn't exclude the contra dance per se. So, but I'm open to the discussion for sure.
Okay, so, but it's, you're feeling the need to have that point person for the contra dance
Yeah.
to approach it. Okay, I'll see if I can help them along, because I would encourage it. I think, you know, I've been to 6 to 8 events over the years. You know, I wouldn't call myself a regular, but I always had a good time there, and it's worth something looking into, and I think it fits in the Parks and Rec mission as well.
Sure.
That's all I had.
Okay, thanks, sir.
Oh, just lastly, I will be around Old Home Day, just so you know, with a helping hand. I'm going to be, you know, once the triathlon is done. But I'll be present. I spoke with Ken Heckman to provide some things. He's the point person for the chicken, I understand.
Andy's still doing it, I think, but Ken might be taking the torch at some point, so
Okay, all right. Well,
those guys is good.
I did spoke with him, and I'll be around to assist as needed, just so you know.
Perfect.
As usual, thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Ernie. Thanks, Ernie.
All right, take care.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda would be to see if anyone would like to make a nomination for new chairman of this commission. As we all know, Jeff Shute has been in that seat for a long time, put a lot of time and effort into it, and it's time for him to move on, so we need a new chairman. Would anyone like to make a nomination?
I'll make a motion to nominate Katie Libby as chair.
A motion and a second. All in favor, please raise your hand. Why, it's unanimous.
Thanks, guys.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
All right. We didn't have meetings from July, right?
Correct.
Okay, our minutes. DPR financial update, I'll send it right back to you.
Alrighty then.
I'm still a newcomer.
Wow. Right on the button.
I could just stay in the country as long as
Okay, top page is where we stood last year at this time through the end of July. Let's see, we had a profit of just over $10,000 through the year at that point. Page 2, here we are, the end of July this year, and we're in the hole by $15,584. So that's obviously a big swing, almost $26,000. The third page will try to give you an idea of where we've done better and where we haven't done better. You're used to seeing this, so I'll be quiet and let you look at it and talk. Is there any questions?
Dwight, what's the balance in the revolving fund at this point in time? Is that the 101?
That's correct.
Yep.
And that doesn't include anything with the new playground project at Hartford Brook?
We haven't been billed for that yet.
Are there any line items on this that have, like, your top 3 of any red flags for you, or do you feel like this is all pretty?
No, we've definitely spent more in the last year just with improvements overall. It's not any drastic change in management or anything like that. As we know, certain things are coming in at different times of the year, which also needs to be accounted for. We talked about that with baseball, I think it was at the last meeting. So, I mean, it's not for a lack of management or anything like that. After school, looks like it's down a little bit. That's just, you know, people not paying as early as they did last year. As we know, that's a wait list, and that's probably somewhat related to the fact that there's gonna be a lot of returning families, and that was never actually opened to anybody that wasn't new, because it was full. And we gave the priority to returning families. So that is part of that loss.
Any questions?
Where's the summer concert series drawn from?
That would be special events 52. That's coupled in there, it doesn't have its own line. I think in the future, that might be a good one to break out from everything else, just so we can see. You know, I think when Dwight set up the fund, he made enough room so that we could implement a bunch of smaller lines in there, so that we could really break it down and see how everything performs year to year at a glimpse.
Now, that special events 52 is, sort of needs to be combined with 15 at this point, because of the way it's had been managed.
Right.
So to really get a true feel for that, up to the right, you see $1,533. That's really where those two lines come in if they're put together. Some of the things were in one and then in another line the following year.
Is the summer day camp balance, looks like it's up 24,000. Are there expenses from like field trips or things to be paid still?
From summer?
Yeah,
It
summer,
looks like it's down.
well, the first page, it has a balance of 63,000, or
Mhm.
43,000, excuse me, a 2017 balance of 43,000, and then a 2018 balance of 68.
I'd have to look into that one more and see what Deb still owes.
Or maybe I'm
on
not
invoices and
through
stuff.
2019. These are 17 and 18.
Yeah, that's coming into 2018, and this is the activity in
Coming into
18.
2019.
Yeah, so that's what it netted out at, 24,776 for the year. And we're at 22, so we're behind on that line by about 2,500, I think. Summer day camp, so it's
Got it.
down a little bit.
Yeah. Okay.
I think the thing to watch here is the 101 is, it's going down a little bit, so that's the sort of cash in the bank that we're gonna wanna keep some sort of reserve, be more conservative in spending, so it doesn't get too shallow.
Yeah, Kevin and I talked about that today. I mean, obviously, we're still operating all of our staff and everything come out of that on a regular basis, so we want to leave a pretty sizable cushion there, but we've gotten a lot of stuff done this year, too, so.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
get some
for
big
sure.
projects done and stuff too, that's just.
Right.
Do you have a historical sense of what the low watermark would be for that, where you would start to get a little nervous? I know, that's an
Well,
unfair question maybe, but that might be
The way we
interesting to
talked about it
see.
today, I would think I'd like to see the six figures stay.
Stay.
Yeah, just for insurance. You never know what could come up, if there's a major expense that could just come up out of the blue or whatever. You gotta be prepared for that kind of stuff. And this is all we operate off of. We don't ask for money from the town usually, or anything, so, we'd like to keep operating the way we're doing it.
Okay. Anybody else? Questions? Comments? All right, Hartford Brook Playground update?
Yep, so just a couple of quick items on that to update you guys. Got the beautiful A-frame sign here. So we're ready to go, locked, loaded, ready to go for September 14th and 15th for the community build. Haven't checked the Sign Up Genius lately.
10.
Still at 10.
Yep.
So we're looking for more help as far as both days go. Anything you can offer is excellent. Hoping to have enough people together to get that done and ready to present the following week at some point. The structure has been ordered, as I mentioned, we haven't been billed for it yet, for our end of it, but we have received the $30,000 donation from DCP. So again, thank you for thinking of Deerfield Parks and Rec and the community with that. We've mailed letters soliciting food donations to help with that, feeding the volunteers those days. Haven't heard anything back yet, but they're still active. They're out there. And other than that, we'll be looking at a plaque to recognize both DCP and our department for the contributions monetarily and otherwise, as far as support goes for the project. So, as soon as I have a picture of that, I'll send that out to the group too. But that's what we're looking to do.
Nick, is that available in a PDF so we can print it out?
Yeah, I think it's, that's the one that Jeff was floating around. Maybe that was only between a couple of us, but I can definitely send it to you.
Yeah, if you guys, my color printer ended up out on the lawn the other day, so, is there any way you could get me a stack of those?
Yeah, we can print it. We have a color printer.
All right,
I can
yeah,
print
just,
those out.
like 20. That'll work.
Yep.
Thanks.
Fall soccer update, Kevin?
All right, so, short arms. Okay, so fall soccer registration closed this past Sunday on the 4th. We had our coaches meeting on Monday night. We had about 7 interested parties looking to help coach this year across the various levels. As of right now, we have 45 registered for pre-K and K. That's down 6 from last year, but not bad. Grades 1 through 6, we're currently at 90. That's down about 15 or so from the previous year. That could be some kids from Candia not coming back, and kids just aging out. But I think we're in a good position to, continue to move forward. I have about 4 to 5 more looking to sign up through late registrations that I got in an email today that I'm gonna have to, I'll touch base with on tomorrow. So that's gonna increase those numbers, and those are across all levels, so I've gotta figure out where those fit. We are looking at 4 to 5 teams for grades 1 to 2. 3 teams right now at 3-4, and 1 to 2 teams at 5-6. So we're in, I think, a good position with team number wise. And if anybody knows somebody that might be interested in helping coach, we could still use some interested people that would like to assist at all levels. So, anybody there, just put them in contact with us.
Are you in big trouble there?
With coaches?
Yeah.
Big might be a strong word, but.
Yeah, I mean, we have people that are willing to definitely be involved, especially at the 1-2 level. Some of them don't feel completely confident in what they know of the game. So in working with Jeff D'Agostino and kind of trying to figure out what we can set up like we did last year to maybe help them boost that confidence, that they, they'll be able to start in the, the soccer program, and then as their kids age, feel confident enough to continue moving up. That's where we're kind of looking. At the younger ages is actually where we're looking, grades 1, 2. We have a lot of people that, I could assist. I do some traveling for work. So if they had a parent or two on whatever team they're, another parent or two on whatever team they're on for a coach would be helpful.
I think that actually your comment might be where some of the disconnect is. You're talking about aging with your player and going up the ranks, as opposed to, for me as a volunteer, I think of it as like I'm just filling the need this year, and I
Right.
have really no intention. I don't know the sport, so I don't.
Right,
So
and-
that's maybe something we
Yeah.
could.
Yeah,
I don't know how you
right.
find people that are really wanting to be a 5-year commitment.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're not necessarily talking a 5-year commitment, but, that's how I think you get people in, and you start them with their kids when they're young, and they start to get comfortable with the sport. And then as they are around their kids playing more, they get,
Push their comfort level.
yeah, just like you do with the players, like you challenge them, so, you challenge, maybe your volunteers, so to speak, and the more they are around, the more they learn, and the more comfortable they are, and they might want to keep doing it, so.
Have you put like a blast out on the Facebook page that we still need coaches, like? parent volunteers?
Yeah, I've got some names that I'm gonna reach out to, of people who have volunteered for us in other sports, to see if they would be interested in helping out with soccer. So it might just be soccer, not their sport. Again, where that comes to the comfortability factor, they don't feel like they know as much as they do with maybe, say, baseball or basketball, so that's why they're not jumping, but they might be more than willing if they know they're not in like that head
Head
coach's
role,
role, so to speak, so.
I was disappointed to see from the number of registrations, the number of lines that said unwilling to volunteer or unable to volunteer. I found it was like, out of 10 signups, 9 said I'm unwilling and unable to volunteer. I'll say that to the camera. That was frustrating.
So,
I don't know if there's a training issue or liability issue, but if we looked at any like high school kids that might be willing to assist coach that may have played somewhere in the past, or?
yeah, I think we need to remain with adults.
Adults,
18
okay.
18 plus.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean that somebody that is a high school student may be working with an adult, to help them get in the coaching field if coaching is something that they want to do. I don't think there's anything wrong against that.
Yeah.
So one of the challenges is it's their season.
Yeah.
The kid knows the sport, you're in their, especially for fall, you're in their fall
Right.
season. It's like SNU has college kids, but you're in their season.
Right.
But, I mean, we may be able to target kids that may have played in high school that haven't gone on to that next level, who might wanna, try coaching.
Another resource possibly could be some older folks here in town that did that years ago, that know the game really well. They could come in and maybe help some of these young parents get off the ground. I'm thinking of people like Andy Robertson and Jack Hutchinson. They know the game really well, and maybe they could be helpful in trying to get some people to the point where they feel comfortable. I know if we were talking about baseball, that would be something that I'd be happy to do, but I'm not really a soccer guy. But there are people out there in town that, I don't know, maybe could help turn it up a little bit for some
Not a bad
folks.
idea.
Or maybe you could stagger in, like we did the Seacoast guy, on one night a week, you could have a guest appearance from Andy Robertson running the, just so then he would only have to commit to one
Right.
night or.
Yep. No, not a bad idea.
I guess my only concern with that is, you have to be really selective in who you pick. Just kind of what you're trying to achieve with kids and having fun, and I think lots of coaching's changed, where it's more about fun and games and creating a fun learning environment. First of all, we're trying to bring in like Mark Ruesk or someone like that that's more in tune with child education and creating that environment just to prevent dropout. It's not, I just remember a lot of my old school coaches, a lot of drills, right? And that's not really the direction we're trying to take the program. It's more about having kids learn through an environment which they learn in general. A lot of kids learn, they go out and they play to learn, right? So trying to set up practices like play, but structuring games that reinforce the skills you want to build, but doing it through that fun learning environment. So I like the idea of bringing people in, but it's having people that have that mindset. It's not sitting there and just doing line drills, right, especially at first or second grade. So how do you teach foot skills or passing or receiving, but create a game out of it that emphasizes that, right? And that's a lot, it's a lot of work. And so that's where like someone like Mark or someone who's been trained in that, it's not just a high school kid, that understands that, I think is really the best person to come in and be able to actually, I think one of the easiest things is give that to the parents. Saying, hey, here's some games, you just gotta play that, but someone's already put the thought process in doing that, so you're not asking the parents for it. But it's a series of fun games to say, here, this is a progression you want, right? Because the biggest challenge we saw when we looked at this program 2 years ago is kids coming to the middle school when I got them, they couldn't pass the ball, right? Because no one had taught them how to pass the ball. They couldn't receive the ball. They didn't have the basic mechanics down. It's like trying to play baseball and you can't throw a catch. And that's essentially what this program was pushing through, right? So that was a lot of what we did is we went back and said, how do you teach a kid how to catch and throw essentially to begin with, but in a fun manner, because no kid wants to just sit there and do drills. So I think that's the bigger challenge of like trying to achieve what we're trying to achieve with the program, and the real deficit of the fact that kids in our town don't know how to play soccer. They don't have the basic fundamentals to play, right?
I think it sounds like to me though, with the volunteer base, it's the majority are saying, I don't know soccer, soccer is not my sport, and you have maybe just one or two that have played the game and know it, so, as opposed to other sports. I think we maybe have a stronger base of people who actively play the sport.
So what
So how do
doing?
we change that?
So how do you bridge it? And the action steps that we took were, first was put coach education in, right? So last year we brought in, and it's grassroots, it's not competitive soccer, but grassroots coach education, right? Mark came in for a day and got parents, anyone who wanted to, the Park and Rec paid for their certification on how to coach at the grassroots level, right? We handed out the curriculums that came with that, right? So
And how
here's,
many participated with that?
we had 9.
Are they returning this year? as
Some.
coaches?
Everybody that was in that room went through it.
That was there on Monday at the coaches meeting?
Yeah.
I did not go through it, and I know Mike did not, and I know Cheryl did not.
So you 3 were the only 3. So you 3, but then your son did, and I did, what's his name? What? Yeah, Dave Dunham did it. What's his name?
Armin?
KK.
What?
Armand.
Armand.
He did it. Trying to think of who did it and didn't come back. Yeah, Catherine Dill, you.
Well,
What's the name of the
we
bus?
offered it, right?
But your
So-
child's not doing it.
You did offer it this year? Oh.
No, we haven't yet.
Right, no.
So I think, so let's just go back to the root of the problem. The root of the problem is parents, when we did the interviews the year before and looked at the program, of course, I'm not comfortable, it's my sport. Okay, well, what can we do? Well, if I knew more about soccer, so we brought education in. So I'm starting to think that's just an excuse for not helping, right? Because we brought education in last year, paid for the education for them. We then said, okay, you.
Maybe they're saying, I'm not comfortable, it's not my passion, and
Well,
then.
but that's my point. It's like, was it really is that the root of why you're not doing it? Because then the other part was, I don't want to put the work in. So we got the curriculum, we brought the curriculum, and we thought of the games, we thought of the progression. We said, here, if you want, follow this on a week-to-week basis. It says, here's the games you do. You just show up, here's the time period, you play this game for this long, this game for this long, and this game for this long. Here's what you look for during this game. Like, it was there. It was just, here, flip to the next page, this is what you're doing the next week. Like, no thought required, per se, you know what I mean, of like putting that pregame curriculum work in. It was just execute on what it said, and here's the directions. Here's even the questions you ask the kids to probe from them to learn, like, hey, how do you receive a ball? You know, what foot do you want to pass to? Like,
So
it gave you all that, and we still didn't get parents. So I don't think that's, I don't know what the root of the problem is, like,
But I mean, for the parents this year, are they aware of those resources being available? I mean, it may be that some people, if they have that information, they may be more willing to step up.
Yeah, they might be. I know we're working with Jeff and trying to figure out what we're gonna do in terms of education for this year. I think we'd like to continue that pattern, but what is our best course of action, whether it's bring him in possibly for one night to work with coaches, or there's another possibility, I think Jeff said, about maybe he could come in a couple different nights and he works with coaches at each level, and he's coaching the coaches to coach the kids, so it's a little different then, I guess.
Well, and maybe even finding a night where you can get people that are on the fence to come
Yeah.
and sit down and have somebody look at, somebody look at these resources and kind of, it might build their confidence a little bit.
Especially if you tell them that, we have lesson plans for practice, because that sounds like what you guys are offering.
Yep.
Right? That might cut a little of the edge off, like, nobody wants to stand in front of a group of people, even kids.
Right.
And not look like they know what they're doing. So, if you say, here's your resource pack, are you interested?
Mm-hmm.
You might have to be a little more direct, because I said this before, I kind of feel like there's a demographic shift in town where we're kind of wandering away from the volunteer aspect of the rec and into where people kind of want to be just hands-off. So it may end up, and this is just advice, may end up you just have to kind of say, hey, you were interested last year. Look what we have for you now. Would you do it again?
Right.
And put you guys on the spot. But
Right.
it might be the way to go.
How many more, I think you feel comfortable, like you're okay. If you could pick a number of additional volunteers, would you be looking for 3? Or do you feel like you can run the program fine the way you're sitting today?
A lot of them have
Yeah.
volunteered in an assistant capacity, so
Yeah.
they're not necessarily, they're willing to help, but they're not, they don't wanna be the one that's driving the practices.
Yeah, I think the one level we're probably not to turn away anybody else that might want to help out the grade 3, 4 level, but I would say that's the one level that we're the most confident in right now based off the coaches meeting with who we had there for coaches. Grades 1, 2 would probably another 4 at least across, so that way maybe they're adding one more volunteer to each team if we're sticking around 4 or 5 teams. And then 5, 6, we're looking at whether, we go 1 to 2, we could need another couple coaches there.
Are you guys suggesting the availability of maybe these guys that might be on the fence going and watching one of Jeff's practices or one of the more knowledgeable coaches' practices as a mentorship program?
Yeah, that's not a bad idea
What if
too.
you did, instead of I think for most parents, it's the full-time season commitment is the issue. So what if you broke it down and you could say, from week to week, you could have, if you had that consistent head coach that was more knowledgeable, and I think you have those numbers, and then you could have the second parent volunteer.
Mhm.
At that level, you don't need the knowledge, it's really crowd control.
Mhm.
That's really what you're doing. You need that another set of hands, you're watching, and then you're just trying to have fun with the kids. It's not technical. So maybe if you approach it differently, parents might be, that's what I ended up having to do, because I had, an assistant coach that didn't show up a lot of times, and so
Yeah.
I would, pull parents, can you help out, can you help out, can you help out?
Yep.
And they were willing to do that, and it was just that second set of hands.
Yeah, and a lot of times there are a bunch of parents.
Standing
Right.
around watching the
They're
practice.
Well, and that's what, when I went through and I did for the 1, 2, I did just a rough split. I don't know these kids, a lot of them, and their athletic ability. I know who they are, but I've not really seen them play the game. And especially at that age level, I was able to highlight a bunch of people, like I said, that have helped out in previous programs and said, well, if I put this person here, with this person that said that they are interested in a head coach, they'll probably be at their practices anyways, so they'll just end up going out on the field and helping out. So, I got to reach out to those people, but I do feel confident that we'll get there. It's just gonna be what do we have to market them,
So what
Could we help you in any way?
I'm gonna start with emails tomorrow to these people that, I've helped out before, and maybe like Nate said, maybe put a message out to our new youth soccer Facebook group that we have and say we're looking for coaches at this level and see what comes in the next couple days.
What if, so you asked about the coach education. We ran the program in town because we had no one trained. This year, do we spend the time for another one in town because we already had, 9 out of the 17 coaches trained. But they're always available online, right? So at the grassroots level, you don't have to, the grassroots level, there's 3 levels of state coaching. There's 4v4, which is basically pre-K, first and second, right? So there's 4v4, no keepers. Then you have the next course, which is 7v7. And then you have a 9v9, which is as far as we go, right? That's your 5 and 6. The next level up would be 11v11, but your 7th grade and up, right, for grassroots. All those courses, except for I think the 11v11, are available online. So a parent doesn't even have to go. They could just watch the videos online and do that. And if Park and Rec's willing to pick that up, they still get their certification. They don't do the field thing with like Mark or whoever they get if they get to try it in front of people. But they get all that kind of thought process behind stuff, and the video part of it, it's online, doesn't take long. If that was really the issue. That education's there year-round, and it's, I think, a little bit less expensive per coach. So maybe you send an email out to the parents saying, look, if there's any parent that's coaching or interested in coaching, we don't have a coach here in town, but US Soccer does offer a grassroots program for that rec level soccer program. If you're interested in coaching, we are still willing to pay for that for you. And put that out there and make sure you emphasize that it's grassroots, kind of recreational level. Because I think that's the biggest thing with the coaching too. They separated grassroots rec from competitive coaching, right? Where one is all emphasized on play and fun and learning through that, and the other one's really emphasized more, it seems, on competitive. And then obviously, we're still working on trying to find someone who's available, because Mark's super busy. I mean, he's really good, but, may have to find someone else. That's where I was looking at college. Could we get some SNU players or UNH players? But the issues I'm running into, travel schedules and practice with the players. Because Soccer Sphere, by the way, is another education program, which is a combination between UNH and SNU, where the coaches and the players work with teams. They've worked with like Auburn in the past, so it's kind of a technical coach there. But that would be more technical. I don't know how much they'd be able to help with the coaches and the coaching style, because most of them haven't been through that training to begin with.
Gotcha.
So we're looking at those options, but just.
I don't want to drag the conversation on much longer. Would you say, your point was that they were coming into the school program without the basic skills? Would you say that Deerfield Middle School is, when compared to all of its neighboring towns, are we somewhere as an outlier, or are we all, we're an outlier?
To be candid, like if it wasn't for the club kids,
No, club aside, I'm just talking middle school, fifth grade.
so if you took Deerfield and you pulled the club kids off that team,
No, school to school, apples to apples.
no, that's.
Are we competing with,
No, not for the most part.
okay.
And the
All right, I don't, that's
What?
fine.
The girls' team did last year.
But for the first year in 10
Yeah,
years.
the question was, are they competitive? Last year
Yeah,
they were.
last year, did they make
This year,
playoffs?
Probably, they missed it by like a game. No, or they might have made the playoffs, I'm not sure. No, they
They
didn't.
did.
We're not like drastically
But they're,
looking, if you're looking at the neighboring towns that Deerfield middle schoolers compete against, are we out in left field, or are we right in the? Okay,
So there's
boys'
one,
team definitely was.
so there's 1 year,
Sure.
so
Okay.
to your point.
That's okay.
1
I-
year
it
that
was
they've
just-
actually
yes, no.
almost, they won a couple of games, right? They won 3 games last year? Girls? They won 6, which
Yep.
is phenomenal. Up until that, they hadn't won a game.
okay.
In the last couple of years. Boys, they made playoffs the year before, their first year, last year they didn't. But what it was, 2 club kids didn't play. So the challenge comes from, there's not a base of players coming through. And if 2 kids decided to go play club and not have the double team, right, then you're screwed, because you just lost a couple of players you have, because without that 6 or 7 club kids to keep you in a game, the rec department has no one else that can kick a ball.
Okay.
It's really coming through. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. Thank you. All right, bulk of a meeting, Old Home Day.
Yeah, here we go. So I think everyone has had hopefully had a chance to look at the personnel spreadsheet that I passed around. If not, then we can talk about it now.
Can you, before you get on the schedule, I'll just throw something out there. I've had a bunch of feedback lately about the softball playoffs on Old Homes Day, that people, 1, travel on weekends, and it wasn't a weekend commitment. 2, they're helping with that triathlon in the morning, and so a lot of people said they can't do the playoffs because they'd already made that commitment to the triathlon before softball was decided to be put on Old Homes Day, and that,
I don't know if that's true, because it's always, since the registration launched, it's always been on Old Home Day.
I'm just
I
telling you.
know.
I don't know when the Superfly or whatever the thing was put on. Like, I was telling you what I've heard from people, and I
Yeah.
said, I'll bring it up at the meeting.
Okay.
And that there's, asked if it could be moved back to a weeknight like it historically been. Is that like Julie, I think, is one of the ones that is big involved in that race, some others.
We recognize that there's people that are gonna be involved in both things, so we have talked about, Nate actually brought it up the other night, about possibly pushing the time back a little bit. We do have that flexibility because of the fields. There's nothing really else going on at Hartford Brook that day. So we are looking at a time shift.
And the location shift.
I was gonna say, I've seen Bicentennial and Hartford.
It'll be,
That's
yeah,
Bicentennial.
it'll be Hartford Brook.
Okay.
We'll put something out about that. The bicentennial fields we had hoped to have renovated and leveled by now, but that is not the case yet. So, we'll put the championship on our best field,
Okay.
Hartford Brook.
Are you thinking maybe at 10 o'clock? 10 to 12, or you don't know yet?
Probably at least an hour pushback.
Yeah, maybe.
We'll talk about it
Yeah, I
more.
think we were gonna look to see, who advanced to that game.
Yeah.
See how many players it impacts, because you don't want a team to be,
Make
down.
much of a big stink about something that's irrelevant
Right.
when you get there.
So I know, you mentioned a few names of people, I think you said, a name of every players on 4 out of the 6 teams. So there's
No, I think
one,
there's a player on every team except for Nottingham.
you didn't mention anybody on Dunright.
Yeah, I don't think Dunright has anyone,
As
unless they
far
were
as
gonna be
running the
doing the 5K.
triathlon.
Huh?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe you're right, okay. That might
So,
be-
Either way, it's the
but yeah,
majority of the teams.
It is
that are
majority of the
affected.
teams, so, you know, you don't know if, maybe Northwood team catches lightning in a bottle. You never know. Maybe they get there
It's
and,
Dunright Northwood and it's all
yeah,
irrelevant.
and then,
Yeah, and you just leave it.
Not count out Yanni's.
hey, Yanni's can catch lightning in a bottle 2 years in a row.
It happened,
year,
it
huh?
happened.
What?
Did it last year.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I think kind of wait to see what teams are involved and then figure out how late you maybe need to push it back. You'll know hopefully after Tuesday, right, Dwight? Yeah.
So, yeah.
So you're, do you want us to give you this back tonight with our slots, or this week?
I mean, if anybody has any objections to what's written down right now as it is, just let me know right now. I can cross it off and I can resend it with new slots, tomorrow. You know, there are a couple of question marks there too, you know, that we can get filled either way. But if you're not taken up during any of these time slots and you'd like to, commit to that time slot, you know, we need that help, especially during the dinner. That's the biggest part of the day, I think, as far as volunteer help is needed. Need all hands on deck at that point.
All right, Nick, you can add me as a money taker,
All right.
cleanup guy, and an ice cream sundae maker.
Taste
right.
maker.
Nikki,
Did I say
Throw 'em-
maker? I meant
Definitely.
taste tester.
yeah,
Thank you.
Definitely good for the Sunday.
He did
lock the
also,
Sundays off.
Carolyn O'Neill.
Last year we had.
Carolyn
Crushed it
O'Neill,
last
she would be
year.
happy to do ice cream
We need
sundaes.
supplies.
Much ice cream.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
We got that squared away though, right, Kev?
Soup,
Hey,
I
Nick.
thought might have put this-
We got all the ice cream stuff squared away.
Okay.
As opposed to the last year.
They had
yeah,
fun.
we will, not now, but we will.
Do you know, because
Get a hold of them.
I think.
You
we're
went
gonna
through
need
10?
Probably
Chicken barbecue.
Well, it was me, you and Jeff last year, right? And then,
us three,
Erica,
yeah.
were you?
And then,
Trying to think
no,
of who was.
I
You
was,
there last
yeah.
I think Tom was there too.
We could definitely, I mean, that line got long, so anybody that wants to be over there.
And we
So
have to
you
make
get the
sure-
kids taking.
Yeah, you guys
money
went
too.
through what, 10, 5?
What's her name
Courts.
helped us out
Yeah.
too? She took money for us because we were
Sue.
slammed.
Sue, she said she would, I
Sue
think she said she would
Fifield.
be available.
Sue,
to-
Yeah, we had people that just were stepping up because the line was getting so long when we were there and.
Do you need more than 6 people? Because that's what I have you
We
slotted
figure
for.
probably 1 or 2 taking money, probably 3 scoopers. Because
Yeah.
we had 3 scooping and we weren't even keeping up last year, and then someone kind of organizing the toppings so that it doesn't go crazy into kids.
And then when stuff runs out, we need someone to run and.
Yep.
That was what happened, yeah, I was
Yeah.
driving around picking
We're
up
hoping
some
to
food.
eliminate that aspect.
So 6 people filter, as people filter over from dinner, I
You
think
think
it's
we
fine.
At least
10,
1 taking money,
5 quarts
3
in the freezer
scoopers,
that's there.
and then 2
We're gonna
dealing
have,
with
when one of us
like
is
topping
pick up,
/ getting more ice cream.
come
I mean,
with like
so
another
that's-
6.
6 is
Yeah, I
comfortable?
would say 6 would be your minimum that you want.
I know, like, my kids had wanted to help out again too. I think the girls did it last year. They can do the toppings and stuff.
Yeah,
You know, they,
Yep.
That they've been helpful at the entertainment series.
yeah, yeah, they like it, so.
Professionals now.
They've had an audition, they've had a trial, they've gone through training. They know to wear the food service gloves.
Yep.
but do we have a supply list for that set up yet? Like how much we're anticipating? Because I think we need at least a case of whipped cream, if not more. I'm just saying, 'cause last year we ran out of whipped cream.
Sundays?
He was doing whippets the entire time.
That's right.
Helpers do. Helpers need
There's no gas left in it. And Nate was stumbling
That
around.
was just for me. The case-
So order
But-
2.
No, last year we ran out of whipped cream, we ran out of cherries,
Silverware.
we ran out of
Silverware.
silverware, bowls.
The bowls we had, I think.
Mm,
No, we ran out.
No, we had
No,
to
I
get
thought we
more.
ran out of
We ran out of everything.
Yeah, and then we ran out,
Um,
essentially ran out of ice creams. We
Just
skipped for a
about-
while. Remember, we weren't
Yep.
really, we went half servings for everybody?
Yeah, and a lot of people were complaining about that, about the difference in prices for, I think we're doing 1 scoop or 2 scoops, or 2 scoops first, 3 scoops.
Yeah.
We went to only 1 scoop for a while because we were just about out.
Yeah,
People got annoyed with us. So when we look at how much we used, we could have used more
we could have used.
because we limited people to 1 scoop for a while.
Did you charge the same price?
No, they think there was a 1 scoop price, I thought,
Yeah,
There
there
is,
was,
it was 2
yeah.
prices.
but they still wanted 2 scoops. So if
So
we
you
would,
bought it double?
No, but say we did like.
We were only
10
charging
say
them
we-
singles, but we were getting low, so we wanted to kind of spread out so we get the whole
So
crowd.
say we went through 10 gallons, we probably could have went through, say, 14 gallons, because people wanted double scoops, but we just couldn't sell it to them because we didn't have
Got it,
backup supply.
We'll have plenty of it this time around, but. there's-
Carolyn mentioned that they brought their freezer down to the fairgrounds.
Right.
Do you do that?
We do, we
Okay.
do. That's the problem, is you can't hold all the
It's
ice
too
cream
small.
there. There's gonna have to be a run that happens somewhere in between. So if we have that sixth person, you know, we might have to send you to Hartford Brook to get in the building and grab it there or something. But that's feasible.
What time did you start serving the ice cream?
Did, like, what if we had, if everybody had like some coolers that we could
We left right from cleanup
sit back there too?
Yeah,
at the gazebo and drove right over, so.
Yep.
I don't know.
We weren't even done with cleanup, because you called.
People
you
started
called me.
piling up,
yeah,
yeah.
I was the
You called
first
me
one
when I
there,
was still
and
cleaning up. I was
I had
over with
people
the
like
steamer.
starting, I'm like,
That represents.
Slammed by myself.
The ice cream?
Yeah.
It's like a few $100, I think, if I remember correctly. I think we had 600? 500 to 600? I can't remember. But it's worth it.
Just can't send
Goes
Dwight
right
to
to
go
gift
with the
them.
second shift of ice cream.
yeah.
The budget would be good.
5 gallons.
Whoever's taking the money, just.
Wait, 6, it's.
We can check on that.
Oh, wait, no.
On what we sell, so we can get
Yeah.
a better idea for inventory next year.
Okay, so, signups, we're gonna get to you. I think if you put a blast on Facebook, you would get some other people, because like I said, I've had a couple totally unaffiliated say they'd wanna help.
Perfect.
What else do you need from us?
Dwight, I think you mentioned, this guy, am I supposed, I can't think of his name right now.
Butch,
Yeah, is that somebody you want me to try to reach out to? I haven't heard from him about helping out this year, but I actually got a phone call last year. I might still have his number.
He's chicken barbecue. You
Yeah,
wanted to
he's
do, right?
always happy to help down there. I don't really know how to get in touch with him.
I'm just trying to think if I still got the post-it from last year with his phone number.
Jeff Shoot might know.
Okay. Is it a good person to reach out to if?
Anybody else know him?
I mean, I know of him, and I think what happened last year was he couldn't make we had the rain date, so he
Yeah.
couldn't come the second day, but he would have come if we had it on the Saturday.
I think that's right, Terry.
And Jeff really professed that he was a huge help, so. he's a
Yeah,
Volunteer, that's.
definitely.
and Ernie too. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, that's right. I'm gonna put him down there too.
Yeah, I think Jeff Shoot might know how to get a hold of him.
Is John gonna be there?
Harrington?
Yeah.
Yes.
So you might
Yeah,
get,
he's-
you have
he's
Amy?
Money taker. Amy, not yet, but I'm sure she'll be there as well.
Package deal?
Yep.
Julie,
Julie, I did not account for yet.
Maybe.
I'll write her down. I'll see if I can get her, reach out to her. Julie.
sorry, Julie.
And if Andy's gonna be there, maybe Melissa will.
I got the sense they had other commitments that
yeah?
weekend, yeah, but maybe.
Just double check the time on the schedule for the cleanup. You have it as the same time as the food service.
Good call. Good call. I can shift that 6 to 7
6 to 7,
probably.
yep.
That's
And
where,
then I'll
that's
take
where it's at.
I'll take a 6 to 7 slot for the cleanup.
Excellent. Good catch there, Brian.
You know, Nick, if the torch is gonna pass for the Master Chef, you may wanna think about like doing a video, like take some snapshots of the time, date. So he starts the charcoal at this time, and then he's got this done at this time, and the apparatus. It's a great way to inventory everything, and then you can almost, say, I don't know how to do it. You could have a little video lesson for somebody to say, these are all the steps involved.
Right.
The thought, there was some incidental pictures last year, well, I remember this, and that's what it looked like, just,
Barbecue starts at 4:30. Didn't we start the chicken at like 1? So I remember going with Jeff to the store to get it, and there's a fairly lengthy process of just trimming the chicken and getting the charcoal up to heat.
I don't know if it was that early. I can check with Andy. See.
Because at 4:30 serving, right? 4:30 serving.
Yeah, because you got the chefs
I
at
mean,
4:30 to 6.
That was, I swear we were spraying that stuff for over an hour.
Yeah.
It probably took us an hour, 45 minutes to an hour to get all the trays loaded up, because you have to trim all that. Every breast has to be chicken, or every piece of chicken has to be trimmed, right? You gotta get it on the racks, then we're getting them over.
what time did the parade end last year? It was a different day.
It's
so it was
just a little after 4 o'clock, usually 4:10, 4:15.
Okay,
It's
because
quick.
it was serving like right after that.
Yep.
So when you say chef, is that the prepping for the chicken and stuff? That was a whole team.
The cooking, there's 4 of them.
Correct.
There's 4 chefs and 1 master chef.
But that probably needs to be earlier than 4:30, right?
That's what I'm getting at.
Right,
That's
right.
serving time, so you gotta.
That was like 11 o'clock in the morning, that was early.
But we started that.
Yeah, but then there was a gap from when all the chicken was prepped, and then a lot of us could leave, and then they lit the fire, and then it kinda, then Andy did his thing,
Yeah.
you know, with the, and then it kinda,
Actually, it was right after the cornhole gone over, because I remember we just finished playing cornhole, and Jeff was like, do you wanna go grab chickens?
Right, he said that early afternoon, right?
So whatever,
It was like 1
cornhole was in
o'clock.
the morning last year, right?
Yeah.
11.
Yeah, and now it's at
Couldn't have been earlier,
11:30.
But it just, if you figure out from a timing perspective, it was, we just finished that, and then I remember getting in Jeff's truck and we went and picked up chickens at the Blue Bowl.
Hmm.
And then we came back and prepped right from there.
I'll check with Andy to see what time he wants to start.
Are there any plans in place to replace the cinder blocks
Mm.
down there?
Yes. Yep, they go 3 high. That's how high the pit should be. So on one side, they're stacked 4 right now, so we'll just have to drop them.
When you reach out to Andy, ask him about if he wants gravel in it or anything, like with I don't know what the weather looks like, but I
Right.
remember we had a scramble last year because it was wet.
Probably still wet from the day before.
Yeah, it's really like hay or gravel or, I don't know.
I think we dodged the bullet, though, it dried in time,
Yeah.
yeah. It was the year before that, he said they had to pump it out.
But if,
'Cause-
like, putting down a 2-inch base of sand from that pit right there would be, like, good for him, we
Right.
can do that.
I'll ask him.
Or if you just, I was gonna say,
Do you want us to do
put some
the
space in
cinder
the
blocks?
bottom
Do you want
right,
us to set a?
3/4
Oh, no.
inch, just-
No, we can have that ready.
It'll dry
That'll
out.
actually probably be part of the prep on Friday night. For whoever can do that, that's on my list here too, but.
I suggest that you have somebody go over there and try to reconstruct that cinder block area, because when we did the ice rink, we lost an awful lot of blocks down there, so I don't think you have enough blocks down there to construct that thing properly. You need to look at that before next
Okay.
weekend. Have somebody go down there and set it up. If it's 3 high, do it. I think you're gonna find you're missing a fair amount. You probably need a couple dozen cinder blocks, would be my guess. You just don't wanna find that out on the 17th.
How did we lose those? Just out of curiosity.
What's that?
How did we lose cinder blocks?
They disintegrated.
With the water and stuff?
Usually heat will take them out, and then, you
Yeah.
know.
Oh, I took all sorts of those things to the transfer station. They were a mess. They just pick it up and the thing would fall apart.
Where, do you have a, like, highway department, or where would you get those?
Probably get those at a hardware store, can't you? Like Home Depot or Lowe's.
Buy 'em?
Those, yep.
Like $2 a piece or something, it's not a lot of money.
Yeah.
Just the, you have to do trucking, you might make a few trips, depending on the weight, depending on how many you get.
You got that trailer,
I don't think we're off by very much. I really don't.
you probably go right down to Candia. Guy and Red Eric's at 3's got a ton of stuff. Just bring your trailer down
Hardware.
there. Load it up.
What time on Friday and where?
That was the next thing I was gonna ask everybody. First of all, to see how many hands on deck we have on Friday night. And then we can come up with a time after that. I know Kevin and I are already planning on staying until however late it has to be to make sure we're set up for the next day, so. I think we're really just thinking about, getting tents and tables set up, whatever can be preset prior, chairs, you name it. Just getting that stuff ready, so. It should be relatively quick if we have all hands on
I'll be
deck.
there.
4 to 6?
I think I can be there.
Is there anybody that can't be there? That's probably the easier question, Tom.
6 to 7?
I can't pull up my schedule. I'm pretty sure I'm off that day, but I'll let you know.
Okay.
What'd you say about time?
4 to 6?
4 to 6?
Yeah.
5 to 7?
Get it done
5 to
there.
7?
Yeah, I work till 4:30.
Yeah, 5 to 7 then.
I'll be there.
5
That'll
to
work.
7.
5 to 7. Cool. 5 to 7 it is. That takes care of that. Did you bring your map with you?
Did.
Okay, it's not on the back of that one. Kevin did draw up a rough sketch of,
Very rough,
a rough.
not to scale.
A rough sketch of how it's gonna look probably on the gazebo field that day. So he'll pass that around just so you guys can take a look at it.
Yeah, so I can just pass this around, and we can kind of touch on other Old Home Day things if we need to. So, got the rough sketch, all right? I'm no Monet, all right? And then you'll see that there's numbers with circles. I use the printed version of the poster and just put numbers next to it, kind of like the map key. The plan is to take this and put it into a computer document, recreate this map in like Publisher or something, and then have a key down at the bottom. And then with the extra brochures that we have for the day, tuck the map inside the brochure to have
We're
on
looking
hand.
for Google Earth type stuff here.
Okay, we can do that. We can do that.
I'm just kidding.
360. We talked about food service bowls and splitting what people bring. Do you want me to go to the dollar store and get 30 bowls?
We can get them.
Disposal.
We can get the bowls.
Are you talking about for the chicken barbecue?
Let us help you.
Somebody-
That's why we're here.
Well, give me receipts, that's kind of what I'm getting at.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I can go to
Purchase
Sam's and
wise.
get stuff if you give me a list.
Yeah.
And just let me know what it is prior, because if we have it, we obviously don't need more of it, but we'll check. We do have a bunch of stuff out back, so.
Now, I remember somebody, if you're talking about the chicken barbecue, I think somebody mentioned if we had extra like tinfoil trays or something, when somebody brings their side, you just empty it out into the tinfoil tray and then give them their dish right back. I don't know if that was something.
We'll split it in half,
Yeah,
and then that was,
I don't know if that's still the plan or what.
Well, I
we're
just
go-
like the bowls better because then you can recycle and use them again next year, but
Okay.
cheap
Right.
and.
Okay, well, no, whatever we want to do. I just remember that somebody came up
Tin
with some
trays
plan
might
and it
be-
sounded like it was a good one, so.
I know, I mean, they got those aluminum foil ones at Sam's that I use all the time that you could probably wash out
We
and
could
stuff,
just
yeah.
go that route. Then I'm gonna pass the torch back to you. I'm not gonna get it.
Katie, maybe you ask people to bring two.
Or bring two, yeah.
Because some of these things where there's a sort of presentation involved, where, desserts and things, you're gonna pull it apart, you're gonna kind of make it look
mess up somebody's dessert.
appetizing pretty quick.
You messed up my
So-
pie.
Bring cupcakes, just tip them upside down.
chocolate. That's my chocolate.
5 hours.
My deviled eggs
Just
ruined.
saying.
What was I gonna?
All right, hand this that way. Look.
All right, anything else on Old Home Day?
In general, I think we're looking pretty good. Once the setup's good, I think we'll be feeling pretty good going into the day. For whoever can make it, I know a lot of people are involved with the triathlon and stuff. We're gonna have a quick powwow at the Fireman's Breakfast that morning. Figure 7:30 to 8. Just kind of quickly overview what's going on for the day. And there'll be a couple of morning items that we'll do morning of too. We have Michelle, he's put together a lot of signs that we're gonna laminate. We're gonna stake them, or staple them to stakes, put them in the ground where things are gonna be happening in the day of. That way, people are just walking around, they're like, what's this tent for? Oh, this tells you, and it tells you what time. That way we're pretty organized and we look good throughout the day. So, stuff like that, those will be items that we're gonna do the morning of, but without the 5K, we'll have a little extra time to go ahead and do those tighten up items. That's pretty much it.
Bathrooms, porta potties and freshly pumped and.
Yep, so we're gonna have 2 extras coming into Gazebo Field just for that weekend. The one that's down there right now is ADA accessible. Anything that's going on inside the town hall, like the bingo, the silent auction stuff, obviously have access to bathrooms in there too, so plenty of bathroom space. And this year, we also did order one for the fairgrounds, for the fireworks at night and the ice cream sundaes and stuff. That is not something we had last year, so just in case.
I will arrange a time to get with Ernie on logistics, and I'll let you guys know when it is, just in case if it's helpful to hear it also for the triathlon. I don't know. I'll keep you in the loop.
Sure.
Yeah.
I guess the only other thing that I have for Old Home Day, I handed out a spreadsheet for items that have been, one side is items that have been donated for the silent auction, the long list. So you see the company or the business, the item description, the value of what they donated, and where, you know, I talked with Nick on a couple of these where we feel comfortable doing starting bids. And should everything go at minimum starting bid, you'll see what could be made towards the Joe Stone there. And then on the back side are all the sports memorabilia items that we'll pick up from New England Picture. And then you see what it would cost us. Now, we're getting the stuff at zero cost to have a part of our silent auction. If it doesn't go, we return it at no cost. So it's really a low cost, low risk, I should say, way to try to make a couple extra $100. And if everything goes on that starting bid, you'll see that we'll make about, you know, a couple hundred. And if there's a bidding war going on, you know, we'll get higher than that. So for a low risk, it's kind of worth having them be a part of the day.
Any of the stuff from New England Picture autographed?
Yeah, so if you see in the description, if it says auto, so those would be the ones that have autographs.
Does he have a, audience that would follow to know, like, I'm thinking someone outside of Deerfield that would have an interest, of like, that might come just for that reason, or is that not?
Well, that's kind of nice that you asked that question, because we will be looking to put this silent auction online.
Oh, cool.
So we've worked with Steve. He's gonna set up a computer in the town hall that'll be connected to internet on the Thursday before, and it'll just be run online. So you would be able to go to a link and you'd be able to view all the items and make your bid on your cell phone during the day. You know, we'll put the link out there a week, you know, prior, you know, or at the end of this week. So you could be sitting at home on this Friday night, maybe, looking at everything and placing your bids. And it would actually allow you, so say you're busy all day on that day and you won't have a chance to look, you can put your starting bid, and what you can put, it's called a proxy bid, which would be, I'm willing to go this high, so if someone outbids your smaller one, it'll automatically bump you higher than that person.
And does he have like a distribution list that would know that that was available? I'm
So we-
thinking just the
yeah.
bigger reach than we could get with.
I mean, we're gonna put it on our Facebook, and what, I mean, I don't know if the guy that we're getting this stuff would do any of that, because that's his job. He reaches out to other charitable things, but we might be able to share our link with him and see if he could.
He knows anyone that has a real passion for
Yep.
this sort of memorabilia.
Yep.
I think it's worth noting too that it is strictly online this year, so there won't be any physical bids. You'll have to do it through the website that we use. So, you know, that's part of what we're hoping to have those that are overlooking, where is that, whoever's sitting in on the silent auction at a given time. We'll give you guys a crash course, just kind of help set people up. It's really easy, fast, in case somebody wants to make a bid physically that day. That's what the computer's gonna be there for. And we're hoping that the auction online will help bring exposure to this and earn us a little more money for the scholarship fund.
Will the pictures actually be there in the town?
They will, yes.
Yeah.
That's a cool
If you were there last year, we had physical sheets you could write your bid on, and we would call you if you won. That's not gonna be the case this year. It's all gonna be online.
It's a nice attraction. People come in and
Right.
even though they didn't buy anything.
Right, they get
it
to
was
physically
fun to
see it,
watch.
and
Yep.
if you wanna place a bid, we'll help you. Did you wanna shout out the sponsors?
So what?
Everybody that donated?
I mean, as you can see, we've got AG Paintball, Capital Center for the Arts, Cinemagic Movie Theaters, Katuka River Canoe Company, Cranmore Mountain Resort, Crossroad Chiropractic, Evo Rock and Fitness, Fun Spot, Henniker Brewing Company, Hermanos, Indian Head Resort, Jack-O-Lantern Resort and Golf Course, Lost River Gorge and Boulder Caves, Manchester Country Club, that just came in about 15 minutes before the meeting. Mel's Funway Park, Mohegan Sun, Mount Sunapee, Pat's Peak, Puritan Backroom, Red River Theaters, Squam Lakes Natural Science Center, and Tuckaway. So.
Thank you to all those that donated for the cause.
Very cool. Have a good night.
So Kevin, just where you have me on for Old Home Day is fine.
Okay.
And then, I will let you know about, I'm working both days that weekend, but I'll try to make a switch for one of them.
Okay, awesome, thank you, Brian.
Thank you, guys.
Good on Old Home Day?
I think so.
Bylaw committee update.
So we created a draft document, and I get some input from a few of you along the way, so we circulated it with everybody. And then we get some late input, which I haven't, kind of left it open or whatever to make sure we have all the final changes so that we can do the document. So I don't have copies for everybody, but everything was sent electronically, and I will, when the document's finished, I'll certainly circulate it to everybody so you see it well in advance of a meeting where we would vote on it. So we don't have a final document at this point. We talk about the name, mission and purpose, membership, officers, duties and responsibilities of the offices, the meetings, committees, procedures, and limited liability of volunteers, compensation, which there isn't any, and amendments. How do we make changes to this as we move forward if we need to or desire to? So it's all in there, and it speaks to, you know, it should be more of a, it should be built with thought and then changed with even more thought, that it's, if this is what we believed at a certain point in time, that, you know, if we move from that, so it's not something you do on the fly. With the meeting, let's add this to this to this. We should have prior notice. So like you said, 5 days. One of the things, Jeff, and the debate had come, and I'm gonna talk about the mission and which is kind of mission and purpose. One of the things that Jeff Shute had said is that meeting minutes, posting 5 days in advance, and quorum are requirements of all town commissions and boards, so that has to be part of this. I think, Jeff, what you told me at the last meeting on the fly was that 5 days prior notice of an agenda would be helpful. That way you could articulate what you would want to speak about should you come. So those are things I can add here to this document and then get it together. So just one, we didn't have a quorum last time, but just to go back to the mission and purpose, go back to 2010, there was almost a dual mission, which seems somewhat contradictory. And one is that the purpose of the commission would be to act on behalf of the Board of Selectmen and the management and planning of all Parks and Recs areas and activities within the town, except for VC. And then the Parks and Rec Commission will assist and advise the Parks and Recreation Director in the planning, execution, and evaluation of projects and programs. So either we're sort of at the check and balance, which works on behalf of the Board of Selectmen so that they don't have to get in all the details, but if we come and say, hey, the Parks and Rec wants to do this, they want to spend this money, and we believe they should, and then the Board of Selectmen would be the final check and balance because they're stroking the check or approving that expenditure. On the other side is, we work directly as advisors to the director of the department so that we can let him know sort of the sense of the community, and then obviously any volunteer work that we do, you know, is, I'm sure, you know, appreciated or whatever, and accepted. So the question is, you know, which do we want it to be? And then I can move forward and finish the document.
Terry, did it come from a determination from the town? Which documents did you get did you get those,
And there's a
directives
town
from?
book that shows all, and it goes back, they go back to about 2000 before they start becoming
Yeah.
handwritten, and they're
Okay.
more difficult to understand. So in different years, there were warrant articles, 2017, 2016. Like 2017 was, they were gonna spend $20,000 on Hartford Brook, you know,
Yeah.
because there was a lot of in-kind contributions happening. I don't know if they built material, but the public approved that as a warrant article. In 2010, Article 14, and I have it in here as to the Article 14, so the public, 644 said yes, 340 said no. And that was reauthorizing the Parks and Rec Commission to consist of 7 members. Members will be appointed by the Board of Selectmen to 3-year terms, with 1/3 of those expiring each year. The commission will act then to repeat what I just said, the commission will act on behalf of the Board of Selectmen, the management and planning of all parks and recreation areas with activities within the town, with the exception of VZ Park, which will remain under the direct management and control of the VZ Park Commission. The Parks and Rec Commission will assist and advise the Parks and Rec Director in planning, execution, evaluation of projects and program.
Yeah.
So the Board of Selectmen had recommended that 5-0 and the warrant passed.
That was a warrant article, right?
Yeah.
So it's-
So what I'm understanding now in the feedback.
Yeah, I think we gotta go with both.
Well, so I spent a little time thinking about it, and I think where our maybe confusion is coming from, the way I'm taking that is management and planning for the department outside of the revolving account. I think the revolving account is the director's item to run, and that's where we would advise you. But if there were items like Hartford Brook or some sort of capital improvement project that would impact the town budget outside of the revolving account, that's where the select board is looking for this commission to have a real vote or any sort of authority. Does that seem like maybe how we got here? I don't know.
I know, it's kind of ambiguous when you look at the two descriptions and put them side by side. I
It's
see where
very
you're coming
different.
from, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you have any background on that, Dwight?
Some of the early history was that when the revolving, you need a revolving fund to operate, because you
Sure.
gotta buy baseball bats, you gotta have expenditures, and you can't go back, on a warrant article, you're gonna, for small purchases. So when the early history and the debate was at the town meeting before we were Senate Bill, SB2, was that they were worried that that would be a workaround, that people would spend money outside of what the public had done. And the reassurance were, no, we're gonna use this to reinvest in the program. And then along the way, like I said, 7 members, and today we're 11 members strong. So I think the Board of Selectmen has the authority to tweak this and say, we can be 11 members, and I think they did approve that somewhere along the way last year when 4 of us were added to the group here. So I think basically, the sense from Jeff was, I don't know if he pulled all the Board of Selectmen, but was that it would operate better as an advisory, in an advisory capacity. I don't have a particular interest in either. I'm here to help, and that's my goal. But as the scribe and sort of the person putting it together, I don't want to, move this in a direction we don't want to be. So whatever people decide it should be, I'll create the document, or finish the document, and then that circulate it all. And the point would be then we would vote for it at the next meeting perhaps and say, this is how we want to operate. So, and just one last thing, somebody, it was Jeff's ambition to have certain things like memorialized, and I just volunteered for this. So he wanted some bylaw, it wasn't like I said, we need bylaws. He wanted someone to do it, and I just felt like I had the capacity to do that, so.
There's a difference between like a charter and a mission statement, really, too. So the purpose, the formation of the group, we serve that purpose. And, the mission statement, like what you're trying to come up with, and to sort of flesh out the skeleton. I think we kind of meet both of those in some manner. So I don't know that you need to really worry about going against the warrant article. In other words, by what you've emailed out, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And again, I think it might be somewhat a matter of semantics, because we wouldn't have that authority anyways. The board would have the authority, and they have the authority. So if
Yeah,
they're
that's right.
comfortable with that being said, but at the same time, the caution's gotta be about, meetings by email and doing that sort of thing, because that's pretty clear that any of the commissions or whatever has to have an official, meeting minutes and
Notification.
and public record so that people know.
I think for me, where it gets sticky, especially is in personnel matters. So like if this commission took a vote to approve the salary increases, that's very different to me than to take a vote to recommend that the director increase the salaries. Those are different things, and that's where I would look to the
Right. Right,
bylaws to say what authority is this commission acting with?
And how do
Are we
have
making
to-
a recommendation, or are we making a decision?
And how do you verbalize the motion
Yeah.
too,
Yeah.
So we're not stepping over.
Right, so the idea would be Nick would come and say, like he did with the Hartford Brook thing, should I spend $15,000 of the revolving fund? And we would say, we all
Recommend,
agree.
yeah.
We recommend.
In principle that, yeah, it's a great project, take advantage of the donation, go ahead and do it. But the motion shouldn't be is go ahead and spend that, is that we agree with you spending it, but you're spending it. So that's just a matter of how you know, at the end of the day, if somebody is unhappy with the decisions, the other part of this is that he lives by himself a little bit too, because
Sure.
he's not, he's listening to people, getting input, but the decision's with him. He makes the decision, and then he's responsible moving
Yeah.
forward. So,
So that's, just asking, so that should gear more toward advisory, so you'd probably eliminate the management part of it.
But that's in the warrant article.
That's in the
That's
warrant.
what we're-
So that's what I say, it's a
That's
warrant
where I
article,
think
it's not our
it's outside the
position to
revolving
interpret or
fund.
change a warrant
Terry,
article.
the portion about management, can you just read that again? So, you know,
one more
because,
time.
yeah,
All right, so we will act on behalf of the Board of Selectmen in the management and planning of all parks and recreational areas and activities within the town, except for VC, period.
Yeah.
The Parks and Rec Commission will assist and advise the Parks and Recreation Director in the planning, execution, and evaluation of projects and programs.
It was a poorly written warrant.
it should have been advisory capacity to the board.
Can you
I-
amend a warrant
Well,
article?
it says assist.
You can.
It says assist in the planning, so just, let's help, right, that part of it. The second part is assist them in that, and helping them, because the first part of it was
Act on
acting
behalf.
on.
Act on behalf of
Two
them.
different things, acting on behalf of the Board of Selectmen, oversight or making sure it's being done they want it, and then the other part is assisting them in advice and management, two totally different roles. One is,
Right, that's the
So-
problem we're having.
Well,
but I think they're two totally different things. One's just assisting them, and, hey, we'll help you manage that, we'll help you with advice on that, that's kind of the day-to-day, what does he need help with? Like, guys, I got this problem, you guys got some expertise, can you help me here? But then, separate is, what does the selectman want, which is independent of what Nick wants, because, right, so if they want it, if the selectmen say, we want you guys to listen to it, kind of be our check and a balance and make a recommendation for us, now we're acting on behalf of the selectmen, that's what their intent is. Right, so one says we do what the selectmen want, the selectmen say we just want advice on, did you recommend it or not, as a sounding block to make sure money's being spent correctly? You're acting on their behalf, the other side is just, make recommendations to help him do his job. Right, so it's like, if the selectmen don't ask us to do anything, we don't have to do anything on their behalf. Right, so if the selectmen
So-
says do nothing for us, then that leaves our only half of the job is to make recommendations for him, which is the other half of the statement.
So to give a little more historical content here, in 2008, I think it was 2008, the revolving fund was created. And somebody, if the basketball court was voted down, it was turned down and not be built, the money could not be spent even if it was available. So that was the idea. People were concerned that you want to build a basketball court, and in the warrant article, people say, no, don't build it, but you have a revolving fund, so, but in the discretion was left to an individual, and then they could go ahead and build a basketball court, so it was a workaround, and they were concerned with that. So 2 years later, in 2010, there seems to be clarity saying, this commission is not part of the VZ Park thing. They're specifically, identify that, and then the idea too is that, well, the commission, you guys, we're Board of Selectmen, we're doing this stuff for the town all the time, and you guys are recreation people, and go ahead and you guys work together and keep us informed. Was my sense of what was happening. And there's a lot of discussion, there's a page and a half of discussion at that town meeting, where they've gone back and they're taking good notes, and it's I could copy this and send it to folks, but it was passed at that meeting, by
Did they
the
discuss?
that was, what's it called, not the meeting, the town meeting that, is ahead of the
Deliberative
SB two.
session.
deliberative session?
Session, right. So Article 14 for the revolving fund passed 632 to 437.
Did anywhere in those minutes, did they define or anyone ask, what do you mean by what's the intent of acting on behalf of the selectmen? Because if that's in writing, that would be great to have, if someone's actually defined it in there, right? Because if it's discussed publicly and they came out and said, this is what it means, we now know what acting on behalf of the selectmen means, and I think the other part's pretty clear, just about advising. It's it's easy, when it comes to this.
I don't know if I have those notes here. I went through 20 years and I kind of like pulled out the tops of it. So that is a good question, and so there might be deliberative session notes, which I do not have attached here, that might speak more
Or
specifically.
John Harrington, or the
Mhm.
selectmen might be a good,
Yeah, maybe Jeff.
information.
But it's gotta be in writing.
I mean,
Otherwise you're relying on someone else, like that's,
Are there any other groups that operate in this way? Like, I don't think the zoning and planning board really are an apples to apples comparison. The cemetery is a commission,
but all I'm getting, so if there's a.
but I'm saying there would be
warrant
precedent if
article,
maybe
the
with
town
someone
voted,
else.
Right, and they voted that through, so what we're looking for is language that we can link back to the interpretation of what that is,
Mhm.
right? Because it's, one's acting on behalf, the other one's advising. Did they, in any of the language, say, someone said, well, what does that mean? And if someone said, oh, that's because we don't want you to do an end around, because if this, okay, that starts to put meaning of what acting on behalf of the selectmen means. It's about, you can't go spend stuff that is kind of getting stuff done around the corner, right? Versus, oh, no, it's just, if the selectmen want something, you're kind of their eyes and ears.
What was, so going back to the town budget versus the revolving fund, if Nick were to go
It
to
just
the
goes
Board of,
back- but it
no,
goes
if Nick
back
were to
to
go
what
to
they
the Board of
clarified.
Selectmen and say, I wanna spend $10,000 on a new splash pad, and they said no, or there was a vote in the town and they said no, Nick wouldn't be able to go around to the revolving fund and spend that money. So
well,
that's
in
where-
principle, he wouldn't, but again, how we create this, he potentially could. I mean, it would be,
But we're
So it's just saying,
acting on
politically-
behalf,
in writing,
Yeah.
right? Just look and see what they said in writing, see if there's anything
we can look for that.
that has it there, because it may be as simple as saying, it says act, selectman, it says act on your behalf, tell us how you want us to act on your behalf, Mr. Selectman, and then have them email it, and then now we have record of the interpretation of what that
Mhm.
says act on their behalf. The selectmen have told us, as long as there's not written precedent to go before that it's already in writing, because if that's what happened before the vote, that would supersede what the selectmen tell us, right? If they've already defined it in a deliberative session, this is what it means, and then the town voted on it, that now puts definition to what the town voted on.
The only thing too is this article also says the commission will consist of 7 members. And so again, how did we become 11? And, and I remember having a conversation with Dwight that he said, all these wonderful volunteers, let's bring them all in and put them to work. It's a great idea, and that's why we're here. But, so, can we be 11 members? Did we, are we, so whatever authority the board used, or whatever process happened, I imagine may correct this. We may not need a new warrant article, that there might be a way that they can change that. I think the answer lies with the Board of Selectmen. I think the town manager will have some information and input, but I'm just going off of what I'm finding in the books, the history books, so.
Yeah, I mean, you weren't here for that, but I thought, when we talked about that, Jeff went and spoke to Harrington and looked at the rules on whether or not we could expand. I was new.
Well, that's the other thing, well, what are those rules and what exists today? The good news is, once this is done, we'll have a document, we can say, this is what we do, and this is what you're responsible for as a member, and, there's also liability, as a member to some degree. I have a piece in here about, limited liability of volunteers, but that's an RSA, which is a general RSA, that's saying if you're unpaid, people working on, volunteers in good faith, then you're exempt from, but I'm not a lawyer. I'd like to have, somebody maybe confirm that a little bit, and say that, we're not at jeopardy here. Somebody gets hurt in a soccer field or something, we decided not to replace the nets, or did we decide?
I think that's a situation where, you can put language in, I mean, Jeff said you're covered under the town insurance, you just put in the bylaws that if that's the case, just get it in writing from somebody that, this is here, that the town's insurance policy covers blah, 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 liability of the members, just like D&O insurance, right, directors and officers. Like, all our contracts say that we have D&O in place.
Sure. Yeah, so rather than take a super lot of time, this is where it's at, and again, I'm totally flexible as to however it want, but it should be logical, whatever it says. So if we do our strictly our advisory committee, which I'm totally fine with, then it says we recommend, we advise, we don't authorize.
So are the next steps, maybe you polish it a little more, and then run it by the town administrator and the select board, and if they get any comment, if not, we can finalize a vote on it.
Sure,
Does that
I mean,
sound
with
good?
your help with the, your accessing folks, I
You
don't,
did have Robert's Rules of Order in there, which would change our meetings and the time of our meetings significantly, so
I don't want to do that.
I'm fine running it with Robert's Rules, but
That's like,
have you experienced that?
it's kind of what we,
Yeah.
you
Do
get
that
out of here
every
real
meeting.
quick.
it's kind of what we do, though. I mean, that's the thing we say.
No, you don't speak unless you're speaking to a motion with Robert's Rules of
Oh,
Order.
right, yeah, we're, okay.
So, I don't,
Well, you asked for a committee report, that's different. So now we're sort of operating as a subcommittee
Yeah.
in the moment.
yeah.
Are there any other minutes that you could go through that he could just read ahead of time and say, is there anything in here for language that we could then share with the selectmen, say, here, we looked at it, here's the language we saw in here that's good, that discusses these two topics. Let us know where you need to go. Just that way, if there is something there, we've covered our butts by saying, hey, this is here. We identified it, we did the best we could. Now you tell us.
I think that's what he has, is the,
But I thought there was another meeting or something.
he said there was a longer 20 pages of notes.
Not 20, no,
on
it was,
that.
the discussion went like a, two full written pages or whatever, page and a half or whatever, about the revolving fund itself, and I didn't pull out, I'll have to go back and look. So Katie,
Is that what
maybe,
you're
maybe,
thinking?
So,
Well, just, it says so if there's anything that, in that references what the meaning is of those two statements, right? That you advise, you act on behalf of the selectmen and you advise. Did anybody ask about that? Because if we can't find anything about that, right?
Yeah, I'll look for
about-
that.
About those roles, then you can email the selectmen and say, look, this is what's here. We couldn't find anything in the meetings that referenced meaning to that. We don't want to misinterpret.
Mhm.
Please define this for us, or, hey, this is all we found. Give us
Right.
your interpretation so we can put in what the intent was behind this.
even if they have the what the intent was originally, if the will of the board at this point in time is to do something differently or whatever, and they have the authority, then they should go ahead and do it. And again, I don't know if anyone's really strong on either side. I mean, Nick, how do you want to see us be arranged?
Well, when I was hired, I was told it was advisory, so I would have the recommendations of the board. So that's how I've always understood it, so it's confusing for me too.
and it
to
doesn't
hear- to
really,
hear it in a different way.
I take it back to who's Nick's boss, right?
Eric?
It's John.
Yeah.
He's the one that Nick reports to, doesn't really report to the board, right? So, I'm kind of like what Terry said, do a cursory review, see if there's case law in there, and then if not, throw it up for interpretation.
Yeah, and you
And
don't have to go
just-
to case law, just go to what's in the minutes. and
Well, that's what I'm talking about, it's
Yeah.
loose term.
Katie,
So
now-
I would just leave it at that, I mean, why beleaguer it, I mean, you're doing a lot of work.
Yeah, it's not so much. So Katie, maybe you and I maybe you could join me, now that you're the chair, and you're gonna be sort of the liaison to these folks, right? I mean, that's-
No, I think that Jeff is still the select board representative of our group.
Right, but but the definition of the duties and responsibilities that Jeff gave them, that you're the point person to talk to some of these.
I'm happy too, but I think that the select board appoints a representative.
Oh, right,
To
to
each
each commissioner.
commission, and I think that's still Jeff. I'm happy to
Yeah.
speak with them and
Just
whatever.
on it, but I would add the thing that when you make the question, just say, look, that the group here is more than happy to be purely advisory. Like, depending on your interpretation, we're happy to just be an advisory, and that was our understanding.
You're s-
Add that to it as like just kind of the background,
Mhm.
like, put that opinion
So,
behind it, but not put it as if that was our interpretation of it.
You're saying, should the message come from me to
Ch-
John? and
well,
then-
again, I'll work with you, because I don't want to overstep my situation too. Chair duties, responsibilities. One, communicate with DPR director, DPR staff, town administrator, commission members, board of selectmen, and stakeholders as necessary.
Okay.
And that's what Jeff said, that, how he described, encapsulated the job that you've just accepted tonight. Remember, or rewind, so that's what, so I'm saying, if I can work with you, and just we don't have to belabor, we'll finish the document, whatever it is, and I think we're all here to help, so that's what we're, but I don't wanna, we don't wanna be confused. If we create a definition, then we should just follow what the.
Understand it and have
is,
that.
yeah.
Yep. Good. Citizen comments?
Anyone else? Nothing else? Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.